So good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Meet the Judge, or in this instance, Meet the Handler. Tonight I'm joined by Linda Pitts, who hails from Knoxville in the USA, and who, along with Mike, is arguably the top partnership in terms of handling in the US of A. But not only handler, they are superb breeders of Cocker Spaniels and many other breeds. Have been top dog all breeds in the USA on numerous occasions, and do a huge amount of traveling around the USA. And I'm delighted Linda has taken the time out to join me and take this interview. And how are you, Linda?
I'm kind of tired. We have a lot of dog shows, but lucky that we do.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
And what's the situation right now in the US in terms of COVID?
We are about 40% vaccinated, I think.
Wow.
And we have our schedules have opened up with a lot of protocols in place. We have questionnaires to fill out. We do wristbands, and we have vaccination cards for those of us that are fully vaccinated. With Westminster coming up, that's been a big issue, but I think everybody's trying to do the best that they can. And the country is slowly but surely opening up again.
And how are the dog shows working? Is it very different?
No, it's not different at all. It's the same. Okay. The exact same as it used to be, basically, with a mask on your face. There's some buildings have like a limit to the people that can be in them, and so but that's kind of easing out now, and it feels very normal. Luckily, right. Like we're lucky for us.
That's good to hear. There is hope for the rest of us.
Yeah, right.
And are you still getting the same sort of numbers, or is it predominantly the handlers that are showing up?
No, when we first started back in July and August of last year, the shows were huge. I mean, they have a lot of these shows have limits because of the number of people that can be in the building. But there was a show in Ohio that had 5,000 dogs.
Wow.
And like 650 or 700 motorhomes. So the shows that don't have limits, before we had choices, they were huge and big entries in all breeds.
And you must be now traveling every weekend, yes?
Yes, every weekend. And now we have choices. We didn't have choices until about a month ago. There was basically one set to go to, and people from 3,000 miles away would drive to the southeast where I live just to go to the dog show and get their dogs in the ring.
And Westminster is obviously going ahead. I mean, that's quite a crowded area, or it can be. Are they limiting numbers, or is it open to the public?
No, it's not open to the public. It's a limited number. I think you can have 2 owners per dog, 1 owner per dog. They adjusted the rules about a week ago. All I know is I have my ticket and my vaccine, so I'm good. And some of our dogs didn't make it because the entry is very limited. So I think I entered 13 dogs and we have 6.
Okay. Oh, so it's a half day for you. You won't be running around the place.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be very different.
Okay. So, Linda, let's start at the beginning and go right back to the start. What brought you into the world of dog showing? Were your parents involved with dogs? Did you have dogs in the house when you were growing up?
No, my parents didn't have anything to do with dogs. We used to drive around on Sundays, and we drove past a fun match. So I went in there and I saw a standard poodle in full show coat, and from that moment on, I was very interested in dog shows. I was 8 years old, and then I used to just search out dog shows and fun matches, and got a Siberian Husky when I was 9, and just kind of went from there.
And so Siberian Husky was your first breed?
Yeah, it was.
And how did that go?
I never finished him. I never finished. My parents bought a female from a very credible breeder, and she wasn't that good, and I wasn't that good either. So between the two of us, we didn't make a really stunning team, and she never got any points. And I think I probably showed her like 30 or 40 times, but my parents bred her, and we had a litter of puppies, and they kept the runt of the litter, which is always something that you want to do if you want to get into showing. And I also probably showed him 30 or 40 times, and he never won any points either. But I certainly learned some stick-to-itiveness out of that, I think.
And did you enter the world of junior handling?
Yes, I did. I entered it for a long time. I tried really, really hard, and I was really, really bad. I was really, really bad, and I had really ugly dogs. So as you can imagine, I wasn't very successful. And back when I was a junior, like back in the day, they would just pick a handler in the morning to judge juniors. And
really?
there wasn't somebody scheduled in the judging program like I would know if I saw the name anyways. So finally, somebody that had seen me around forever, just hanging around dog shows, told my dad that I was really trying hard, but I wasn't any good. And he would do me a really good favor by getting me some help. And he did. And then I got a little bit better, and I ended up with a Springer Spaniel. And it got a little easier from there. But yeah, the Husky thing didn't work out so much for me.
So when did it start to click? I mean, when did when did you start to win or start to achieve things?
As a young person?
As a young person, yeah.
When I became an assistant handler, I got better. I just worked and worked and worked and practiced at night and practiced in my off time, and finished my first dog all by myself when I was, I think, 16 years old, a Springer, and got a lot more practice. Then I got to show some dogs in the group as an assistant, and did some nice things, some nice little winning as a young person there. But got married when I was 20, and so got into the world of cockers at 20, and then that's when we started our business.
So for those uninitiated in the handling world in the United States, an assistant, you would have been working for another pro handler.
Yes.
Basically doing the donkey work, more or less, looking after the dogs and taking the dogs into the ring when they're not available.
Yes, all of it. You working at home.
That's hard work.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not a job. That's a good thing about being an assistant handler here in the States, because I know our show schedule is a lot different than some other countries where it's much easier. We can go to 200 dog shows a year, or we could pre-COVID if we're campaigning a top dog. So you have to be really passionate about doing this, because if you're worried about what's going to happen when you get off work, or if you're really super concerned about your free time, this is not the job for you.
Yeah. And people that influenced you greatly in those early days, tell us about them.
The people I worked for, Houston and Toddy Clark, were very well-known handlers in the Southeast, and they were kind of like parents to me. And they were good dog people, but they really taught me a lot about just doing the right thing and taking care of the dogs and how to conduct yourself. Not that I always did such a good job as a teenager, but it's just kind of like one of those things where, if you say it, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to pay attention.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You know, I was very fortunate.
Mm. And you mentioned then you got married at 20 and then got into Cocker Spaniels. What brought you to them particularly?
Because Mike was already showing cockers, and he had worked for some of the top cocker handlers here in the States. So I'd never even touched one before. I never thought about showing a Cocker Spaniel or anything like that. So when we got married, that, you know, the next day I was a cocker handler, kind of trying.
How long did it take you to achieve some status in the Cocker Spaniel ring?
Oh, a long time, actually. I'm going to say probably close to 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of dog show experience and a lot of all breed experience with a lot of different coated breeds, but I really didn't have any cocker experience, and the people in cockers here didn't know me, so they it wasn't the easiest thing to break into, and I ended up buying my own special because
Really?
they really trusted me to show their dog. And I was kind of getting the hint that I needed to do something to change it up. So I bought my own special, and that dog turned out to be a best in show winner and was a really good producer.
Tell us, for you, what are the essential qualities of a Cocker Spaniel?
Well, the answer to that has changed over the years. So you'd asked me when I was 25 years old, I would have just been all about the showmanship and the pizzazz of it, and a really great set of legs, because I showed a lot of Afghans when I was a younger person. So I think I'm pretty aware of what a really good moving dog is. And the dog I bought was a really good moving dog. He just didn't have a really pretty face. And as I got older and bred more dogs and just got a better vision of what it takes to be a good breeder, I realized that the head is so important. And now I concentrate on that more than I would have ever imagined.
Really? Yeah, and that shows in what you show. But it is a combination of everything, though, really.
Right.
In truth, because a Cocker Spaniel without correct construction, angulation, rear angulation, and shoulder, it may have a beautiful head, but it ain't going to do it either.
Right, and then Elaine Mathis always used to say, and I think that Mrs. Clark used to say also, it's just, you know, sort by type, then by movement. So anytime I'm analyzing a litter of puppies or anything like that, that's kind of where I'm going with it, or at least.
And speaking of puppies, when you and Mike are breeding or choosing who to mate who to, do you study pedigrees to a large degree, or is it we think that bitch is going to suit that dog, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both, but when I'm looking at the pedigrees, I'm kind of looking for the red flags, because there are some dogs. I mean, it's a breed with problems, so you can't.
Yes, it is.
So I'm looking for not to triple up on something that I know has a problem, because it's always going to come back to haunt me. So it's a combination of the two of them.
And do you think outcrossing is important in a breeding plan?
Yeah, I have to, because I just did a total outcross breeding, because the black cockers I have are so tightly line bred, I can't possibly do that anymore. And I was trying to look for a dog to breed to without one of those red flag dogs in the pedigree, and I was having a really hard time with it. So I just decided to breed to a buff dog that I know is sound and mentally sound, and has good coat factor, pretty head. So I thought I'd give it a chance, and it's a total outcross black to buff, which I've never done. So, but I have to do it because I have no choice.
And you mentioned it is a breed with problems, and those of us in the breed will admit that the breed does have problems. Do you worry about temperament?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Because
won't.
it has been an issue over the last, and it's a very new issue, because I mean, I've been in American Cocker since '82, and it never used to be a huge issue, but it has crept in over the last number of years.
Yeah, I read an article a long time ago talking about temperament and genetics and breeding to mentally sound sires. So I just won't use a dog that I know isn't rock solid. If I have a dog that I showed that is always backing up on the table or is like extremely sound sensitive, then I'd really hesitate to use him in a breeding program, and I sure wouldn't use anything that ever tried to bite me.
No, absolutely.
Nope.
That's very important. Yeah. And when you do have a litter and when you're choosing a puppy to run on, what is it exactly you're looking for? In terms of, is it type, is it construction, is it all of those things?
Well, I don't pick until they're probably between 14 and 16 weeks.
Okay.
So I start there, and they have to have a good top line. They have to be sound in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to. They don't. If they're tall hocked or if they're not really steady on their rear, I kind of don't gravitate toward those.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make sure they had a pretty face, pretty eyes. Like, really, that's really important that they don't have any haws showing. And then the ultimate test is making sure that they walk on the ground and they like it. Put a lead on them and they just go.
And would you agree that when choosing particularly a Cocker Spaniel puppy, because they have that unique top line, they've got to have that correct shoulder and they've got to have that rear angulation. And as I said when I'm doing seminars, there is no self-respecting American Cocker Spaniel in York handler that cannot put a sloping top line on a Cocker Spaniel. But it's when they move that if the construction is correct in front and rear, that they will move with that typical top line.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, as the handler, you show what is given to you. But if you're a breeder and you're trying to be better, you're not fooling anybody by keeping something with stifle problems or with bad pieces. It's not an emotional decision. It's just a business decision. When you're picking puppies, they have to be good and be better than what you started with, and they have to want to be there too.
Yeah. As I said in your introduction, you and Mike are arguably the top handlers amongst the top handlers in the USA. I mean, your record speaks for itself. But for you, what are the three pillars that makes a dog a winner?
They're brave, and they're typey, and they're sound. Probably in that order. But for to have a dog that can hold up to going to a U.S. campaign, they have to be able to, like I would say, they would walk on broken glass just to do it. They're not going to like tiptoe in some sticky grass, and they're not going to melt in the sun. They have to be brave and just be tough.
And in terms of it, because I mean, it is such a different scene in the US to what we have on this side of the world, even in the UK. How competitive is it amongst the handlers?
You mean, do we get along with each other?
Well, I'm sure most of you must get along, but I mean, it really must be a different atmosphere? I mean, it must be. I mean, this is your livelihoods.
Yeah, now, I mean, older and wiser, so I know it's not a life or death situation, but we get caught up in it when you're showing dogs that you're trying to win with on like a big level. You get caught up in it. Your emotions can get the best of you some days, and you try very hard to get along with everybody, but I kind of keep to myself and just try to stay in my lane and do my own thing, and not mind everybody's business for them.
And as somebody now who has also the gift of presentation, because some of your presentation on your breeds is stunning.
Thank you.
Is that something? Is that a talent you're born with, or do you think you can learn it?
No, I was horrible junior little chubby child with homemade dresses that for 5 years I probably never beat a kid.
Okay.
So I'm not kidding. So it's just, I loved it, and I was just determined that I would get better at it. So I found the best people, surrounded myself with the best people, and tried to learn from them and practiced a lot. It's kind of like skating. If you judged the amount of success you would have in the Olympics by the first time that you stepped on the ice with a pair of skates and fell on your ass 15 times, then that's fine. But no, I wasn't any good, and I got better through practice.
Okay. And in terms of being a breeder, what would you think your biggest achievement has been?
I had a litter of puppies out of the Sweetheart Space Jam dog, which had 6 males and 2 bitches. And in that litter were three dogs that were all breed best in show winners. And they're all just a different kind of beautiful in their way. And 2 more of those were group winners. So it was a beautiful litter of dogs. I guess that would be my best accomplishment. But also just as happy to, because I don't sell to show homes really that much, and I don't sell to people that are just kind of indiscriminately breeding. So I just kind of sell to pet homes.
Okay.
And I get notes and pictures every week from these dogs in their great pet homes with their kids and living a great life, and I think that's...
Okay, I've just lost you there for a second.
Okay.
I've lost you there. You've broken up on me.
Are you back?
I'll have you back now, I think.
Okay.
Okay. So as I keep mentioning that you and Mike are top handlers in the US, do you have a standard for exhibits that you agree to handle?
Yes. If it has no merit as a champion, I would just suggest that they not show it. I don't, I think that if you try to raise the level of dogs that you have, that people become used to the fact that you're trying to show a better quality of dogs. Not to say that they're all perfect, because they certainly aren't. But I wouldn't show a dog that was undershot or things like that. I mean, if you're also kind of in a position where hopefully you're being a little bit of a mentor or a guide to people that are breeding, and especially new people. They have to know that you can't spend your money on this, because there's a better use for your money than this dog right here.
And that's an interesting point now, because do you find that you do have that role? Not that you have that role, but it is a role that has come to you that you are now a mentor to people?
Oh, I do. I mean, I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility for not only that, but toward my job, because I don't necessarily love the way some people have a lack of respect for the craft of being a professional dog handler.
Yes.
And it's slipping away a little bit at a time, maybe. And I see some talented young people coming up. And I just cross my fingers because, you know, I learned from some great people how to treat this business and how to treat your clients and how to run it as a business and just do the best you can. And I just hope that everybody takes it that seriously. Because it's just like any other job. When you have some people that are calling themselves professional handlers that don't do right by the clients, it's a reflection on all of us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's true of any business, but you are quite right. Quite right.
And social media, you know, it can get a lot.
And do you get a lot of media focus? Well, you do obviously get a lot of media focus but do you get a lot of negative media focus in the US?
Yeah. I mean, not me personally. I
don't know.
But
in general, as a sport. As a sport.
Yeah, as a sport, yeah. Yeah. People complain all the time. It's easy to complain hiding behind your keyboard and complain about judges. They have here judges report card, I think it's called. I've never seen it, but I hear you can go on there and complain about judges all day long if you want to. So, you know, then you become the problem, not part of the solution.
Yeah, that must be very busy because there's always complainers.
I know, right?
And when you agree to handle a dog, what is it particularly that allows you and might get into their head and do what you need them to do in the ring? Because not every dog must. I mean, you know, every dog's personality is completely different.
Yeah. Are you talking you're talking a special, right? Something.
Well, when you take a dog on to handle, you know,
it's I think I just have a little bit of a natural ability to figure it out really quickly. I don't know why. I don't have a whole lot of natural abilities, but that would be one of them. And I just put them on the lead and different kinds of leads, watch them walk around and just kind of like get a feel for how they like to be stacked or baited or what's their motivation. And I can, with Cocker Spaniels, I mean, it's just like doing it blindfolded in my sleep. I can just do it. It's just to me, it's second nature by now. Other breeds, not so much. I mean, the other breeds have their own little quirks. So you have to find out what other things that the other little breeds need. Like we show a lot of Cavaliers, and it's just a whole different motivation and way of doing things. So
because in reality, Cocker Spaniels are they want to please anyway,
right?
As a breed, I mean, my son always says that they're listening to lift music in their head. So you know, they're sorry. But you know, they are a breed that does generally want to please, but other breeds must be more difficult. I mean, you handle the poolie. I mean, that you know, how do you get into a poolie's head?
Most of the dogs that I've shown have come already trained. So it's a little bit different when you're trying to like figure out a dog that's already been with somebody else.
Yes.
But I think it takes 3 or 4 months to really get a good rhythm down with a dog that you show full time. If you're new to them in their adult life, but they're all smart, and you know, I've shown so many dogs. It's just figured
second nature.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one that just wasn't compatible, and you've had to say, no, sorry, this ain't gonna happen.
I passed those to Mike. No, there are some dogs that are women. I don't often identify them that way, but I think some dogs are for girls and some dogs are men's dogs.
Okay,
So
yeah.
there's some breeds that he gets along better with, and occasionally we've had a special that I showed a little bit and then he showed it and it did better with him than with me. So, we're just trying to make the clients happy, and
Yes.
they pretty much don't care who's showing it, just as long as they're happy and getting it done.
Speaking of the client, what exactly does the client get out of this? Because I mean, obviously, mostly the clients are they're not traveling to the shows, or they're not traveling all over the US of A watching their dogs. What exactly do they get out of this? Is it just a passion for their dog winning?
I think it depends on the person.
Mm.
There are a lot of people who, if you're talking about people that are specialing dogs that get shown every weekend, some of these people are just like, they're sportsmen. They just like the competition. It's like if you have a racehorse and you're not going to the track and watching every single race, probably,
Yes.
but they're just, they enjoy the competition. They enjoy the results at the end of the day. They have pride in owning that dog because they think it's a great representation of the breed, and they don't have to see it every day, but they enjoy being part of the process. And that's what I'm looking for. We put together groups of people sometimes for some of these dogs that go to a lot of dog shows, and I'm trying to put together people that are all compatible and that have a common goal and a common mindset.
Okay, yeah. Do you prefer handling dogs or bitches?
Good ones.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll take that one. And as we said earlier, you started off showing from a very early age. What advice do you give to young exhibitors or young handlers? And I know both you and Mike are involved in junior handling to a large degree. So what sort of advice do you give?
To a junior that's just showing a dog in junior handling, I would tell them to go figure out who are the top people in the breed that you like, and watch them all day long. Follow them, be a nuisance, watch every dog they show, and you can probably watch them for 2 years and not figure out exactly what they're doing to make it work like that. Like, you can watch somebody and they'll say, "Oh, that looks so easy when you do it," but that's because I've been at it 5,000 times. So you need to do something 1,000 times to get it right. So that's, it's just practice and repetition, and just be ready to do the work, to put in the work. And for young people that want to be dog handlers, get some sleep now, because when it's a hard business to start out in. You're going to work a lot, but if it's like anything else, if you want to be really, really good at it, it's going to take a lot. You're going to run your own business. There's 100,000 things that you need to learn about. You not only need to learn about how to take care of your dogs, but your truck and your billing, and how to know to go to the vet. And there's so much to learn.
Yes.
To do it right.
That's another. I mean, you must have to have. I mean, you mentioned having to know when to go to the vet. I mean, dogs that you're handling, it must take you a while to get to know when they're having an off day or when they're not feeling so good.
Right.
Yeah. Does that just come with a sixth sense?
It does, and it comes by reaching out to people that are smarter than you and letting them help you figure out what's wrong. Like right now, one of the nicest things about the internet, which I'm not a huge fan of a lot of days, is that there are so many groups for breeders and handlers. And if you have a puppy that's sick, you can go on there and you can type the symptoms, and you're going to get 50 people that'll respond to you at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's, that's a good thing. But, usually my barometer is if they don't have a temperature and they don't act really, really sick, then you just kind of like watch it for a day or two. It's how it happens. But it's a responsibility when you're dealing with other people's dogs who have to make the error on the side of caution.
And just going back to junior handling, I am right. Mike is heavily involved with junior handling, is he?
Not Mike, my husband.
Yeah.
Oh no, not like me. We've had a lot of juniors that have worked for us over the years, so he's been great with that. But I have my license to judge juniors here in the city.
How important do you find junior handling as part of our sport and looking to the future?
Say that again.
How important do you find junior handling, junior showmanship as a way to the future?
Yes, if the people behind the juniors are sending them the right message.
Yeah, and it's true all over the world, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I have been to a whole lot of places where, and it's kind of like the way that society is right now. Everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a ribbon, everybody's fantastic, everybody's wonderful. And I get it. It's all about, encouraging people. But when they get into the older classes, and these are older kids that have shown dogs a lot, I think that they need to work for handlers and get a big picture of, or work for somebody that goes all the time and just develop their skills more.
Okay. And has there been a dog that you've either bred or handled that you reckon you're never going to see the like of again?
I'm going to take a pass on that question for right now.
Really? You don't have a favorite?
I think it would be in my best interest not to answer that. Honestly.
Okay. All right. You can take a pass. We'll come back to it later. Your biggest achievement as a handler?
Well, I guess winning with my Pooley, Preston, and Orlando would be my biggest achievement as a handler as far as winning goes. But and I can think of a lot of other moments that meant a lot, not being handed a ribbon.
And you've had a lot of major wins at Westminster. Is there any one of them that stands out?
When I answer this honestly, I don't think it's going to come across right, but it was great to do it, but it was over within 5 minutes. So it wasn't like we were going to go out and celebrate for a week because we won the group at the Garden. It was basically what's next. And because we have to go back in for best in show later or the next day, and so you're just thinking about other things, and it's I'm always thinking about next week or the week after. So I was very proud to finally win a group there. And the first group I actually won there was a herding group, which after all the years of cockers was kind of ironic. But I was very proud of all those dogs and every placement from everything.
As I mentioned in your introduction, you've had #1 top dog in the US on numerous occasions. Talk us through some of those dogs. I mean, Beckham.
Beckham was just like the consummate show dog, best brain, best attitude toward life. He never really had a bad day. He
is one of my pinups in the breed of all time. I mean, he is just quintessential American cocker for type and construction.
Yeah.
I mean, he had it all.
Yeah, he's living a good life with his parents in Texas.
I mean, he was such a silent mover, and he had the rear angulation. He's a dog that if I was doing this interview and somebody said, "Is there a dog that you've never judged you'd have loved to?" he'd be on the list. I just think he was absolutely so typical of the breed. And then you had Striker, who was also
Striker. Striker was one of those dogs and Beckham was too. Wait a minute, I'm sensing a pattern. I started showing Striker, and then
yes,
Mike showed. I actually went best and showed American Spaniel Club with Striker, and then we went somewhere and Mike showed him, and he just looked really so good with Mike that it just was a natural fit. So that's kind of.
And again, he just on the move, he was stunning. I mean, I just found that photograph, and it's so typical.
Right.
I mean, that is so good. The Pooley, which I think probably is one of your favorite wins.
Yeah.
Talk to me about him.
That's my house pet. So it's hard to be objective when you're talking about your house pet. That was the year that dog did so well. I mean, there's so many parts of that year I'll never forget, just because I was so lucky and blessed to have that experience, and I know it. So at least I was conscious enough to recognize it. And I think I was gone on the road for like 275 days that year with that dog. Yeah, right. But it never.
What made him so special? I mean, it's a Pooley. I mean, it's not. Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase that. You don't necessarily expect a Pooley to go #1 dog all breeds in any country, let alone the States. Right. So he had to be extra special. So
yeah,
what did he have?
He was just an exceptional dog. He had exceptional side gait. He always came in came in the ring like a stallion. He never ever stopped showing, and he was built right. Had a pretty face, and he was just a clown. He loved to be there, and it is it's for me the best representation of that breed anybody had seen to that point. So it was great that everybody could recognize it. They said, I've never seen a dog that looked like that. I've never seen one of these dogs in this breed look like that. So, and I'd had 5 or 6 dogs from Sue Hubner and Penny Kelly in Australia. They're all a little bit different version of one another, and they're all, outstanding dogs. I think they were #1 herding dog 5 or 6 times in this country. I mean, it's you know, that breed is my heart breed now.
Really. You also had Clarewood Silhouette Speed of Light.
Yeah, Grant.
Also made top dog, all breeds, and again, just so typical of the breed.
And I bred that dog, so that's the dog that I was talking about that came out of that litter of
Yes.
6 males and 2 bitches. So
Wow.
that dog has the most beautiful side gait and pretty head, right eyes, the right coat, and just like a natural athleticism that. And now he's turned out to be a wonderful sire for us.
Really?
Yeah, he's produced some great puppies.
Wow. This is one hell of an achievement. I hope I haven't missed anything out. I mean, is there another dog that you've done it with?
I think that's it.
Well, if you say so, then we must be right.
Like the number 1 dog I'll breed?
Yes.
No, that's it. That's all I got.
For now.
Pardon?
For now.
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to be a little different.
Do you think?
Yeah. I don't know that. I mean, used to you could kind of, if you thought you had a dog that was a contender or that was of that quality, you could just work your ass off and go to shows every weekend and just started to see how the year progressed, but without choices and with everybody being together a lot of the time, I'm not sure that it's the same path. So I think we're all going to have to try to figure out what the new way.
I think it will take a little bit of time. I think it's going to take about a year or two to settle in and see how things go. But yeah, hopefully things will return to some sort of normality.
Right, and we have a situation here where we ended up with about, it seemed like just 40 judges that judged all the time. So if they liked your dog, great, and if they didn't like it, then you didn't get shown a lot because because of the age and the COVID and everything. We just we're selecting from a smaller group of people. So it's just not the same. It's not the same business right now.
But that will probably change when air travel opens up and etc. With a bit of luck. What do you say to people when they say, "Oh well, it's Linda and Mike. Of course they won." Does that happen, or if it does, what do you say to it?
It probably happens more than I know about, but I just don't hear it because the people that know me know that I don't want to hear it. And I would, if somebody said that, then I would suggest that they come with me for a month.
Okay, yeah.
How about let's take the month of July when we go to Texas and it's 100 degrees, and then we go to Spaniel Club and we work 18-hour days and we figure out all these dogs for different people and what lead they go on and what they need to eat to stay in good weight and how they like to show the best. Come with me for a month, and if I sit down, you sit down, and if I don't sit down, you don't either.
Okay. Yeah. Fair comment. Yeah. And is there a dog, past or present, that you would have loved to have handled but never got the chance?
I see some dogs in different breeds that I love them, like the Doberman Fifi. I know I'm not a Doberman handler, so that dog would have never looked like that with me. And I know I'm smart enough to stay in my own lane and stick with what I know. So I can admire from afar Fifi and think of what a wonderful experience it would have been if I'd got to show her just one day. But I would have probably been a nervous wreck, looked like a shit, and I wouldn't have won the novice senior class of junior showmanship. So I prefer to just hold on to those little dreams and just let them be like that. I don't covet things like that because I'm happy with my own little gig that I got going.
Yeah. And in terms of your own breed, is there a dog past or present that you'd love to handle?
That Webster dog, that black Lambent dog, was such a good little show dog, and so happy to be there. He looked like he would have been a lot of fun to show. But I mean, let's face it, in my wildest dreams as a child, I could have never imagined being lucky enough to have some of the dogs that I've had. So I'm just say that I got real lucky.
And how much more special is it winning big with a dog that you've bred than one that you're handling? Or is there a huge difference?
No, not to me, because the dogs that I bred all had co-owners with them, and the most joy I get out of it is knowing that those people are so happy that dog's doing well. So I have a wonderful client base and that's one of the main reasons I stayed doing this is because I really, really appreciate the people that are good to us. And when the dogs do well, if they're happy, I'm happy.
Okay. I mean, you touched on this a little earlier. Do you think COVID is going to have a major impact on are we going to lose people from the sport? Are we going to take a step back? I mean, I know in the States it's slightly different because it is very handler orientated, but you do have a lot of owner handlers.
Yeah, I don't think so, because there's more than ever. And we have owner handler classes, competitions, and bred by competitions, and puppy competitions. And we even have 4 to 6 puppy classes where handlers can't show their own puppies in 4 to 6. So, I mean, the AKC has opened up a whole lot of avenues for people to show dogs. And there's been so much good PR about purebred dogs that I see people coming in new all the time. And even people new to cockers, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah. And you mentioned you judge junior showmanship over there. Do you also judge breeds?
Not yet.
Not yet. Or are you not allowed?
I could judge them, and yes, I could, but the only time I've ever judged the real breed is when I judged the Cocker National in Sweden.
And is it something you'd like to do?
Oh yeah, definitely. Soon.
How long have you been in the breed? For God's sake.
I got
How long is it going to take it?
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
And does Mike judge?
No.
No.
No, we can't judge and show. We can't judge and handle.
Well, that's the point I'm making. Sorry, I should have phrased that. You literally cannot handle professionally and judge at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. So
yeah, we have to be, and one of us. There are very few industries that, if one of us were to judge and the other one were to have another job, there are very few industries that are dog related where that would be allowed too. So you have to make a decision. You have to decide if you're going to be a handler or a judge or just out.
Wow. Even specialities.
Right.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you're going to have a dinner party now. We're going to lighten things up here a little bit. You're going to have a dinner party, and Mike is going to do the cooking.
Takeout.
Dinner guests that you must have at the table. And they don't have to be dogs. They can be famous people. They can be you go with it.
Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Tom Brady. Michael Jordan. Peyton Manning.
speaking to an Irishman, you've just mentioned Tiger Woods. I mean, you left out Rory McIlroy.
Oh, okay, him too. He's a good guy. Fine.
Brilliant. Now, is there a judge or breeder worldwide or wherever that you really admire?
A judge?
Judge or a breeder?
Anybody in the whole world? Hey,
Anywhere.
living.
Say again?
Living?
Living or past?
Well, there's so many good breeders, and I've been lucky enough to be able to go to other countries to see. And the one thing that I will say about the times that I've been over to Europe and the UK is I'm so impressed with the presentation of cockers there.
Mm-hmm.
It's inspiring to me, because sometimes I'm not very inspired here.
Mm-hmm.
But I go over there, and the dogs are so pretty, and there's so much attention to detail, and they're groomed well, and there's a big emphasis on their temperament, and I'm just impressed by a lot of that. I got to spend some time with Laurent Pichard, and I have a dog of his, and I've been wanting a dog of his for like 20 years.
Yes.
To use in my breeding program. So I got to borrow one of those dogs, and
one of the most gifted American cocker breeders in the world.
Yeah, and just a nice gentleman.
Yes.
So, and that counts for something, I think.
Yes. And his team worldwide, both in Switzerland and Finland, I mean, their presentation is, I would love to be able to do it, even half of what they do.
Right.
They are so gifted. I mean, just God, your presentation, Darren, is second to none.
Oh, thank you.
All right, your funniest and most embarrassing moment in as a handler. Come on.
I think that I have days where I can't believe I'm getting paid, because I just feel like nothing's going right. And it's, like you start off in the morning with one dog and it doesn't act right, or something goes wrong, and the next dog pees in the ring, and then the next dog does something, and you just feel like, you just need to go back to bed and start all over. So I have a day like that probably once a month, where I'm like, people are paying me. This is a train wreck, and I just feel like I'm not getting it together. But if I was going to take a moment of time where it was just like the most ridiculous thing at American Spaniel Club, I can't even tell you. It was probably 25 years ago. I was showing a dog to Mrs. Clark, and I believe it was my party colored special. And I went to go on the down and back, and my belt snapped and like ricocheted across. And it was probably because it was like 5 pounds too tight. So I went and picked it up, and I handed it to her. So I didn't know what else to do with it. And I don't know, looking back, I'm not quite sure why I handed it to her, but I did. And I went down and back, and she held my belt, and I came back, and she gave me my belt back, and I went to the end of the line.
Did you get a rosette?
I think I did, actually. Probably one.
Probably with the
belt trick.
Probably with the belt attached.
Right.
So if you hadn't started showing dogs, you would probably have been involved in some sort of sport. Do you reckon you've got one?
I love horses,
mm-hmm.
and I love horse racing and dressage and all those applications. I don't know if I could have been involved with that or not. I'm not a little girl, so I wouldn't have been a very good rider or trainer, but I love that. And I'm like, for a while, I was really interested in ballroom dancing. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I never regretted my decision, and I don't look back on it and think, what if I had done something else? My parents, but not me.
And if you could be transported to another country, do you have one you'd go to?
I love all the European countries that
Yeah.
I've been to. Fell in love with Hungary, Poland, Italy.
Yeah, what's not to like about Italy?
Oh yeah, all of it. I'll take all of it. And
Have you been to the Emerald Isle?
I can't wait for air travel to like normalize and open back up so we can all travel.
Have you been to the Emerald Isle?
Briefly.
Briefly.
3 days, which is
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not enough.
It wasn't.
And what's your guilty pleasure?
I like concerts. I like going to live music. So
Okay.
I used to go to Las Vegas all the time just to go to shows, not so much to drink, but to gamble, play blackjack, and go to shows. And I've seen probably 30 shows there with my friends over the years. But my favorite show, as far as fun, so I'm going to call it my guilty pleasure, was going to see the Backstreet Boys in Las Vegas at their residency. I felt like an 18-year-old girl.
Great. Well, before I get to your last question, I'm going to ask you one more question about Cocker Spaniels.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're getting too big?
No.
No.
Not here. I mean, we have some that get measured out occasionally, but if, I'll take a dog that's 16 and a half inches without a hair to spare with extreme quality over a proper sized mediocre dog any day.
Yeah. Okay. Fair comment. I will take that. Right. Final question, my dear. If you could write your epitaph, what would it be?
Wow.
Don't tell me it's Mike's in the money.
Wow, I'm just at a loss for words.
Right. Okay.
I'd have to go back and read the on that again and try to. I could say something like, my mind is a total blank.
Okay. Linda, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy life, your busy schedule. Good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have a very successful year, as you normally do.
Thank you.
Our love to Mike as well. And hopefully we'll see you on this side of the world sometime soon.
I think you will. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for asking me. And I hope that your dog shows open up and you get back to your sense of normalcy, and everybody gets to see each other again. Oh, I have my ready for my epitaph.
Oh yeah, go.
Okay, I did everything exactly the way I wanted to do it.
Perfect. And on that note, Linda Pitts, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week, Saturday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.